Hello, I am Vignesh, Associate Professor in Amat University. Today we will see about a two-stroke piston and the various components, the boxing up procedure and the various calibrations that are carried out on the piston. So first is the piston crown. The piston crown also consists of the grooves for piston rings. The piston skirt is bolted onto the piston crown. This is the piston rod, the lower end of which is connected to is sitting on the crosshead, and the upper portion, the piston with the skirt, is bolted. This piston is cooled with lube oil, which has a concentric hole along the rod, and the return is through the inlet pipe which is fitted into the piston rod. Before we box up the piston, we will see the calibrations that are carried out on the piston crown. The piston crown profile is measured using the template, which is similar to the shape of the piston crown. The template is placed on the crown and the gap is measured using a feeler gauge, and it should be within the limits prescribed by the maker. The piston ring grooves are checked for the radial clearance between the groove and the piston ring. Similarly, the depth of the piston groove is also measured. This is the radial and axial clearances of the piston. The piston lifting tool is fitted on the piston crown. The tool bolt should be tightened fully to prevent any damage due to mishandling or loose bolts, damage to the thread. The lube oil passing for the piston crown cooling is prevented from leaking out by these sealing surfaces on the piston crown and the skirt. These regions are lapped properly before boxing up the piston. In newer pistons, the sealing is affected by use of rubber O-rings. Here we see that the skirt has been mounted on the piston crown before boxing up. Next we see the installation of the cooling pipe inside. This is the lube oil passage and acts as the outlet of the oil after cooling the piston crown. The pipe fitted inside the piston rod is the inlet, and it forms a concentric pipe inside the piston rod. Here we see the piston cooling inlet pipe being inserted into the piston rod. The inlet pipe is bolted and lashed properly, and during every crankcase inspection the lashings and the tightness of the bolt should be checked without fail. Slack bolts will lead to leakage of lube oil and pressure drop in the piston cooling line. The piston cooling oil flows into the piston crown through the radially arranged pipes, and it gives a turbulent flow to the lube oil, which helps in better cooling. Here we see the piston rod assembly being connected to the piston crown and skirt. The piston rod is bolted to the piston rod with radial bolts and lashed to be held in place. All the bolts are tightened by spanner with hand and then tightened to the required torque using a torque spanner. Next we will see the assembling of the purifier bowl. We will see the different components of a 4-stroke engine piston. This is the piston crown and the piston skirt with the piston rings. The next is gudgeon pin, which holds the connecting rod to the piston. This is the gudgeon pin. The connecting rod is fixed to the piston using the gudgeon pin. The connecting rod has got an upper shell with a drilled passage for lube oil and the bottom half, which is also called as the bottom end bearing housing. The cylinder head, which sits on top of the combustion chamber. Next we see the boxing up of the 4-stroke engine piston. The connecting rod is lifted into position and held in place using the gudgeon pin. The gudgeon pin is held in place by the locking plates provided on both sides. The locking plates are fitted on both sides of the gudgeon pin, and it helps to hold the gudgeon pin in location. Piston rings are already fitted in the grooves after calibration. Before lowering the piston into the unit, the crankshaft is kept at approximately 45 degrees after TDC to assist in the easy locating of the bottom end housing. Okay. The piston is lowered onto rest on the crank pin. Care should be taken to monitor the bearing shell, upper bearing shell, which is holding on to the connecting rod. Once the piston is in position and resting on the crank pin, the lower bearing housing is fitted onto the connecting rod. Here we see the bottom end bolts, the bearing shell and the lower bearing housing. Before assembling, the serrations on the housing on both sides should be monitored, and a crack test preferably should be carried out. The lower bearing housing is kept in place, and the connecting rod bolts are tightened according to the torque prescribed by the user in the manual. Once the piston is fitted in place, the freeness of the connecting rod on the crank pin is checked as shown. Now we will see the compressor, air compressor, and the different parts of the air compressor. This is the suction filter which acts to prevent dust particles entering into the chamber and also helps in lubrication of the liner. The cylinder head with one of the low pressure delivery valve fitted in place. This is the piston rod with HP and LP pistons in tandem. The upper portion of the piston is the LP side and the lower part of the piston is the HP side. This is the intercooler provided between the first and second stage compressors, and this helps in maintaining an adiabatic process where the temperature rise is kept to the minimum. This increases the efficiency and the mass of the air delivered. These are the suction and delivery valves of the LP and HP stages. The smaller ones are the HP discharge and suction valves, and the bigger one is the LP suction valve. The cylinder block with the HP and LP stages visible. Lowering of the piston into the entablature. The piston is in location. The freeness of the crankshaft is checked. With the cylinder head in place, the intercooler is fitted. The HP valves are fitted as shown in the video. The valve cage is fixed and it is held in place with the adjusting nut at the center of the top cover. Air compressor after the complete installation and boxing up of all the different parts. Next we see the assembly of the purifier bowl. Here you can see the purifier casing with the vertical shaft rotating outside. The vertical shaft is driven by a gear arrangement as shown with a horizontal shaft driven by the motor. The horizontal shaft is driven by the motor through a friction pad coupling arrangement. Next we see the various parts of the purifier. This is the sludge chamber, the gravity disc, the lock nut, upper lock nut, bowl hood, the rotating bowl, the disc stack and the disc hood. The rotating bowl, the bowl hood, bowl disc stack, the gravity disc and the sludge chamber. Next we see the assembling sequence of the purifier. The rotating bowl is first placed on the vertical shaft. A locking arrangement provided on the casing is tightened to hold on to the bowl to prevent it from rotating. The disc stack is placed. While boxing up the disc stack, care should be taken to coincide the marking on the disc with the marking on the holder. Next, the disc stack cover is placed. Similarly, the markings should coincide. Once the upper hood is placed, the lock nut is tightened. Make sure it tights in the opposite direction. Gravity disc is placed on top of the hood and tightened in place with the locking nut, which is again a left hand thread. The sludge chamber is placed with the outlet and the top cover is fitted in place. Boxing up procedure of the centrifugal purifier.